Can you name the #1 skill that hiring managers say their new hires don't have enough of? People often talk about what skills employers want, but rarely do we get into what they feel their candidates are lacking. We asked over 100 hiring managers this question. So if you want to boost your chances of being hired, then stick around to find out what skills hiring managers say are most lacking. Hi, I'm Robbie Christian, and although we'll be posting the raw results of our survey on devlinpact.com, I'm giving some deeper insight into some of the answers from hiring managers to help you land instructional designer jobs quickly. Last week, we did a deep dive into the top 3 most desired skills, and in this week's video, we're going to answer the question, what do you find most often lacking when hiring instructional designers? Since you've already seen the most desired skills, we're just going to put them up side by side and get right into it. So here are the responses side by side. The first question is, we asked them to identify the top 3 most desired skills, so it adds up to 300%. The second question is the #1 most lacking skill, which is why it adds up to 100%. But I want to focus more on the comparative rankings instead of the percentages. So let's just start with the first one. Hiring managers all agree that that not only is the ability to apply ID theory and science the most desired, but it's also the #1 most lacking skill in new hires. They couldn't have been more clear. They want applicants to apply it, but few are meeting their expectations. So this further solidifies the points from last week that we need it. If you want to land a great instructional designer job, then take the time to learn the theory and practice applying it. The fact that this skill ended up is the most desired and the most lacking skill makes last week's tips even more valuable. Study the ID theory and science by watching videos on this channel. You can start with The Secret to Learning Instructional Designer Theory. If you haven't already, spoiler alert, the secret is practicing using the theory and models to solve real-world problems with projects. And then look at existing courses and problems and determine what theories or science were used or would be used to solve them. And then verify your ideas with your network, such as our network at devlinpact.com/ID. So those were last week's tips, and they ring just as true this week as they did last week. But because this skill shows up at the top of this week's list too, I'm going to give you a little bit more here, a little bit more value in this video. Once you're confident in your ability to apply the ID theory and science, make a point to market that skill. Promote it on your portfolio, your resume, your cover letter, your interview. Make sure that people know it's something you can do well. This point is so important, in fact, that we've used this data to build our most ambitious course yet, called the Instructional Designer Project Lab. This course is still in the making, but if you'd like to get involved in that course and get hands-on practice with us, then sign up for our mailing list in the link below this video, and you'll receive a free instructional designer checklist. It has an entire section on learning theory. And then keep an eye on your inbox for Black Friday, because we have something really big planned Black Friday that involves the ID Project Lab. So applying ID theory and science to solve real-world problems is paramount. I could stop there. That's a really valuable video. But there's still some more surprising takeaways from the data that we haven't looked at yet. So moving down the list on the desired skills, we see that communication and e-learning development are towards the top of the list for the most desired skills, but the surprise here is they're actually at the bottom of the list on the skills that are most lacking, with 8% and 4% of respondents listing them respectively. So everybody has these skills. So do you need them? Yes, you absolutely need them. Even though they're the lowest on the list for the lacking skills, you need them too. That's what gets you in the door. That's what gets you a seat at the table. But there's a caveat here. So applying the ID theory and science to solve real world problems is so in demand and so hard to find that it makes a great value proposition, a great skill to market, to flaunt, to make it as big, make it a big selling point as part of your brand. Because communication and e-learning development, on the other hand, these are skills that so many people already have. Even though you need them, it's harder to market your communication and e-learning development skills alone as a way to set you apart from the crowd and add value to the employers. So this leaves us with the rest, the skills that we didn't touch on during last week's video: project management, visual design, business acumen, and learning analytics. This is where you can stand out. They're not the most desired skills, but because they're lacking, you can fill that void. Being strong in one of those skills might not be enough to get you the job alone. However, it could be enough of a deciding factor to help you be hired and chosen between you or someone else. So instead of listing the practical tips this time, let's get visual here and take a look at a few examples of work from boot campers to illustrate how they promoted these skills on their websites. First, we're going to take a look at business acumen by looking at Brandy Muse's portfolio. Now, keep in mind that this portfolio has a lot of really good things going for it, but we're only isolating her use of how she was able to highlight business acumen in her portfolio here. So when we open up her portfolio, we are able to scroll down. We look at her works, her portfolio. We're looking at feedback that works. And again, there's a lot of good stuff going here, but what we're looking for is her ability to not only show off that she understands business, but she can also look at a problem and come up with a solution that are business oriented. So just starting here with the content of this particular project, soft skills for leaders, we are already looking at leaders, scenario-based training focused on developing new managers. So the content alone is reflecting an understanding of business. Then we get into the problem. And again, we're looking for language that identifies an understanding of business and solving business problems. So their significant expansion, she recognizes that the company itself has expanded over the last couple of years, brought in a wave of new hires. It has meant a promotion for many employees to management positions. As newer managers, their experience leading teams and working with direct reports is lacking. So these are all things that businesses are going to be able to resonate with. She moves down into the solution, and we look down here. I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but she's able to, she defines and analyzes the problem, and she comes up with different, in addition to the immersive e-learning experience, she has other recommended solutions that culminate in culture coaching at the C level. So she's recognizing the structure within this business. It allows new managers to learn and practice feedback skills, builds confidence that will result in higher productivity and morale. She conceived a separate vision geared towards team members themselves to make the feedback loop complete. So she's looking at the whole team, the managers, as well as the employees. And so this is a powerful way to show off that she's able to show off that she has that business sense to look at problems, view them through the business lens. So that's what we're looking for. That skill is what is most lacking. It's not the most desired, but it's one of those that's lacking. And that's where she's able to sort of fill that gap with the employers. So now let's take a look really quickly at a couple other portfolios. Each of these that I'm showing, I have worked directly with these boot campers on in putting this together as part of the boot camp here. And so we're going to look at Laura Bozarth, hers. And so I jumped straight into her visual mock-ups, her write-up for her project here on her portfolio. And I want to show off that she has a page here where she's showing where some of her inspiration came from. Then she shows how that turned into a mood board and then into a style guide, and you're able to explore the project on your own. And then Emily, she additionally has her style guide here. It looks very different, but she's able to use those visuals and show off that work, and shows how she turned that into her visual mockups, where she iterated on the design and used those visual design skills to come up with what you see in the final product. So those are some of the skills that we're looking at. And in terms of visual design, the idea is that your work should stand for itself. We shouldn't necessarily have to point it out within the write-up. It should stand for itself. However, because it's one of those skills that is often lacking, it behooves you in many ways to put it as part of your write-up and highlight specifically how you use visual design to put your projects together. So in sort of wrapping things up, what we're looking at here for the practical takeaways is apply ID theory and science, communicate, and develop e-learning. Those are the skills you want to focus on the most. Those are the top, highest, most desired skills from employers. Next, find or build your skills with project management, visual design, business acumen, learning analytics, XAPI. Once you do that, then market yourself. And how do you market yourself? You prioritize by first showing that you can apply ID theory and science to solve real-world problems. That is the most important. After that, market and show off your specialty. So if there's anything that you take away from this video, it's that the most important skill to develop is applying theory to solve real-world problems. If you want to watch one single video, check out The Secret to Learning ID Theory, and check that out. Sign up for the mailing list, and keep an eye on your inbox for Black Friday. Whether you upskill with us or on your own, the big thing is to apply ID theory and science. So that's it for this week's look at the data, but stick around this channel because there's a lot more to come.